those kids are everything that's right. There's a lot not going well with our game at every level. It's not just high school, but it's kind of matriculated down with the NIL, with the portal. And you look at the kids they got. I mean, Coach was joking before the game that he said his son is sick of basketball. He said he's ready, we're sick of it in December. And it reminded me of my son, who's a junior at West Point, who was all-state in 4 sports when he was here. It was the same thing. So the fact that those kids, they just love to compete and they love each other, and man, were they good. They were so good. I knew they were because people whose opinion I believe, and I'm just so happy for those guys, because I feel like that's a win for Ohio basketball, because those guys are everything that's right about this game. So congratulations to them. Couldn't be more deserving.
Turtle, you've been on fire before many times, but that second quarter surge, have you ever had an adrenaline feeling like that?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I feel like I came to the bench and the coaches said I passed up a bunch of shots.
Stunk in the first quarter.
I missed 2 free throws. I feel like there's a lot of things that I could have done better.
I know you guys didn't think so, but if you came to any of our games, he did that all season. I mean, I know he wasn't worthy of a single even nomination or vote for Mr. Basketball, but if you guys actually saw us play, which obviously you did not, that's for you stubs in the back too. We'll get some of you in a moment.
Look at him smiling.
No, I mean seriously, like in the first quarter, like I wanted him to come out like that, and I thought like if he came out like that, then that would push them up so much. And I don't know. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to go ahead and blame T.J. Petros, because he got him with the Indy Heat, and he was making the right play because he played with Jeremiah Fears, who's going to be drafted a lottery pick. And so if we're going to blame anybody, let's go ahead and blame any old spotlight, T.J. Petros. But yeah, I think if he gets off like that in the first quarter, it's maybe knocks him back a little bit back,
Coach, third quarter, right here. Third quarter, they got.
Who are you, sir? I'm sorry.
I'm Jeff Gilmore, Press Pros.
Okay.
They got. He only got 3 shots off in the third quarter. They brought some more length. They brought some more length at him. What did you see? How did that impact the way they defended? Was it different?
No. He's been guarded like that. Nobody in the history of Ohio high school basketball, including LeBron Ramon James, has ever been guarded like Quinn Turtle. Nobody. I mean, it's the scouting report I got. I don't want to say any names, but it was the same guy I just praised, was that they were going to play him straight up, and you saw that strategy changed real quick. And it's the same thing every game. I know I'm up here and sounded, but like, Coach, am I wrong? I mean, this is who he is. This is what he's done. He's made, I don't know how many threes he made today, but he had 566 threes going into today. Like these people hating on him, like you can take those shots by yourself with no one playing defense, and you wouldn't touch those numbers. Like, he's been doing that for 4 years. You talk.
I mean, yeah, Danny Shikowski. I didn't think I was going to get a question, but I'm glad to be here. What we saw in the film with Brucey was basically what they threw at us. But then they knew if they went at a man that they were going to have to bring a little bit more and take it out of his hands. And we still got some looks that we passed up, but overall, they played the game the right way, like Coach said, and they made the right play again and again. We just had a couple. When we made that run in the second quarter, there was an opportunity there. We turned it over, and that was a big turning point. But we're proud of our guys. We're so proud of them, and just everything that they did, and the way one of our things is one heart, no regrets, and we definitely don't have any regrets from that game. And we're just proud of them, and it was a great season. Hats off to Rushi.
Clint, your dad's defending you a lot right here.
I'm real nice to him all the time.
I know, but he's defending you.
He's
how does that make you feel in this moment? You just lost a game you really wanted to win. Just what are your thoughts right now with those emotions of that your dad is showing and everything?
It surprises me. He never really compliments me, especially at home.
You suck.
Nobody sees like how he yells at me other times, but it surprises me right now. Yeah, but we just try to come in the game and prove people wrong. And I could just go down the list of guys and my teammates. I love them so much. I'm going to miss them so much. And
All
yeah.
glory to God, man. Right? AP, you're not going to defend me? You know, this young man here, we had the Xavier Bickerstaff kid who was a great kid. You know, he was at Cornerstone. We had Carter Armstrong, and those kids left. And let me say this too: you don't do what he did with having a young man like this who's been programmed 4 years, just been the heart and soul, unbelievable leader, unbelievable young man. Played JV, even some as a senior, and high school basketball forgets that it's about young men like Aiden Pettis. Like, you know, everyone gets into all these rankings and all this stuff that doesn't matter. And I told the guys before the game, like, it's about when everyone knows that David slayed Goliath. Nobody realizes that before he had to take down a lion and a bear. And I know you don't know from survival training, but like those aren't good odds. Those are not very good odds at all. And if we don't have a young man like this in our program, I told all of them, and especially him, that I won 5 of these things, and I'd rather lose with these guys because, man, they gave us everything they had.
Both Coach and Quinn, you guys look at that, the on-ball defense that Russia had. It was pretty close 9-8 turnovers, I want to say, at halftime, but it felt like Russia took another step in the on-ball, especially in that third and fourth quarter. What changes did you guys see from them, and how did that kind of affect the overall, not necessarily flow of the game, but just the overall scenes of things and how you guys had to run the offense?
First off, you two guys got to work on the tie thing because you're too short and he's too long. And we got to, corporate America, we got to fix that. No, Ben, they were so good. I mean, has anybody defended us that well? I mean, see, here's the thing, too. We can, we make up for bad coaching, but what we can do is whenever there's somebody that they don't guard, we can normally use that person to screen. And they were so athletic, and they're just so intelligent. I think this is the kids don't play multiple sports these days. And you can see, like, the baseball and the football and the golf. I don't know, maybe not golf. But you can see those other things in those kids. I mean, they make the right play every single time. And so many kids these days don't. You know, they want to look good and not make the right play. So they were just phenomenal. And I don't know. And like I said, the only chance we would have had if they would have just not been allowed to double team, if that was been like illegal, which we've gone to 7 divisions, so that might be next. So who knows? Hey now, sorry Tim, no filter.
And then for Quinn and Aiden, 4 years, you guys get to the first state championship game for Cornerstone since 2018, I believe, off the top of my head. What's it been like to help this program get back to where it's been before, and especially as to the seniors, what is it like knowing these underclassmen now have the idea of getting back here and they know what it takes?
Whoa, everything. We really just put it on the back of this guy. I mean, we literally go as he go. I mean, we listen to coach. We know what we had to do this year. I mean, we got here, we came up short, but every one of those guys in the locker room, we all excelled in our role, and that's why we're here now. I mean, we came up short, but we really just put it on the back of Quinn. We know that he's gonna do it for us, but we just had to make sure the other people around him would excel in their role, and that's what got us here.
Yeah, what he said. I'm just so blessed to have each and every one of these guys in the locker room. Just seeing them, seeing their emotion, it feels like I could have done more. And I never thought I was coming to Cornerstone, so
You didn't have a choice.
yeah. But losing that's not the worst thing that has happened to me this year. My grandpa passed away, and it just shows you that there's more to life than basketball. And the ball stops bouncing at some point, so yeah, that's really it.
I think I said this during our presser, but I'll never forget it. And I think it was 14. Well, it was 13 when we had some mom and pa shop trying to ask Carlton Bragg and Brian Parker where they were going to school as sophomores. And I went over, and this guy came over like the Gestapo over here, and And he kicked him out. I'm like, man, I like this guy. And then the next year, or that year, Will Butler, who was my assistant, he was watching this guy because he wanted to be John Cena. He wouldn't even go to the game. He wanted to be a wrestler. So then the next year, I remember Papa was sitting there, and they were sitting up in the stands, and Turtle's like, man, would I get to shoot out there? And my dad turned to Mr. Snodgrass, and he said, hey, Jerry, and Tim walked right over and put a ribbon on him and his brother. And I remember that was the first time he ever made a three at the shot. And he turned to me, and just seeing his grandpa. Now I don't know how many you make today. What do you make today, Coach? How many threes? 6. You suck. So that's 572. Yeah, good luck breaking that one. But this game's so important, guys. Like, for those reasons, man. It's supposed to teach you how to be a part of something bigger than yourself. I work for the United States Army. Our job's not to win our country's wars. It's to not play home games. And speaking of which, if World War III does break out, and you put this on record, I am going straight to Rouge High School, and give me those kids. We're going to be okay. But it's supposed to teach you how to be a part of something bigger yourself. Just because he was, had the accolades, I think we all understand. He never once says my records. It's our records, right? Right, Pip? Right, Turtle? This meant everything to my dad. This was his whole life. As TJ will tell you, as Stubbsy will tell you, they don't make him like him anymore. And literally the last of the Cowboys. And this was perfect, right? Perfect. So.
Babe, let me ask you this. I write Russia a lot because I live right there in that community, and oddly enough, they don't get really the appreciation that they deserve, I don't think, because they play the MAC. I mean, it's always Marion local, it's Coldwater, it's the MAC teams, and they don't play football. So, if you don't play football over there, it's something.
We don't have a football team.
But I would be interested to hear, and I walked in late, I'm sorry, but just your comments about that team can play with anybody.
They're the best team we played all year. When we played Richmond Heights at home, I got a hot tip for you. In my opinion, which I know is not worth much. Either is any of you guys that didn't vote for this guy for Mr. Basketball, by the way. But yeah, they're as good as anyone I've ever. This year.
Not to be underappreciated, certainly.
No. And I think I said this at halftime. Like I coached a team that McDonald's All-American was our third best player. We were 5th in the country, and those dudes can play with anybody. Because here's the thing: if the two things that lead to winning, right, the most, in my opinion, are toughness and intelligence. And they were bigger, stronger, faster, smarter, better coached. Right? We got a guy with a bad haircut that made a couple shots. That's all we had going for us. So everything that everything that's right about this game, right, Coach? Hey, his haircut's amazing, by the way. Look at that thing, unbelievable hair. Okay. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Unbelievable. Play that way, you can play with anybody. And that's the thing too, right? Like, who grows up watching that? Because to your point, okay, we're gonna watch, we're gonna watch highlights, or we're gonna watch. Meanwhile, that's the way you play the game. But how many people even appreciate that anymore? If it was up to Stubbs, we'd go to 10 more divisions, and he doesn't like St. John's, or he didn't like the fish fry at the Holiday Inn. When I used to scout my tickets, Mr. Street, I used to make a lot of money scouting my tickets, man. I had more money than any 12-year-old, especially in 1989 when Jimmy Jackson was playing. That ticket was unbelievable. Remember that one? Oh, Coach, I was hot sauce right there. Free chicken. Thank you, guys. Not a talker. Stubbsy, remember when I put Frank? Matt, you remember when I put Frank Kill? I put my name tag on his thing when we played the 3rd year in a row. He still hasn't recovered from that. That's why he quit coaching.
boy. Well, first of all, hats off to Cornerstone Christian. That kid is something. I mean, we told these guys all week long, like, look, I don't know that you guys understand. This kid doesn't know a bad shot, And he got on a roll there in the second quarter, and it was like, whew, how in the world are we going to adjust and try to slow him down? I guess the answer wasn't putting Jackson on him. Yeah, that was mentioned last weekend. I won't name any names. He's not in this room, but that was mentioned, putting him on him. But he that's when he backed up and shot over the top. So we kind of weathered the storm. Halftime helped us out to eliminate some of that, and we told the guys at halftime, just stay the course, stay the course. They're going to get tired. They're going to wear down a little bit. The middle of the floor is still extremely wide open. So I don't know if any of you watched me hollering at 2 or 3 of these guys, like, get to the middle of the floor, please. And we told them that, number one, on Tuesday when we came back, that, this is going to be similar to last Friday. The beauty of it is we don't have to change much offensively. Defensively, yes, but and then on Wednesday, we tried a couple different things, and these guys basically looked at me like, Coach, let's not reinvent the wheel here. And we weren't. We were just trying a few things, but they were like, we got it. We got it. We can take care of this. With the understanding that we knew we weren't going to hold him to 10 or 15 points. It takes too many shots for that. But we were hoping to hold him a little bit less than 37. But, we did a fantastic job covering up outside of him. And we're state champs. I mean, I don't know what else to say. These kids are winners. All 11 of them, they're winners.
Spencer, just having the thing is, you've been here, and this didn't happen, and for it to happen finally, what are your thoughts about, like, we finally did this, guys, and what do you think about that?
These guys have been on a mission all year. And since day one, this is one of their goals, was to get here. Okay? They just put so much work in and are so very coachable. And you can see, I told, the guys that don't get to play very much, I'm sorry, this is how it went down this year, but we talked about it the first day of practice, like, there's 11 of you. You can't all play. I can't play all of you. That's really hard to look at a kid and tell them that before the season even starts. 4 or 5 or 6 of you may not get to play much because, you got juniors and sophomores in there as well. But I never heard one word. A couple of them were just as emotional as everybody else. So that speaks to how, number one, how they've been raised to handle that. Number two, how close they've been over these years. Do they hang out off the floor all the time? No, not all the time. But when there's a job to do, these guys just get it done. Last weekend when we went up to BGM practice, our scout team just beat the daylights out of these guys. Well, I did hear, we didn't expect it to be doing some of that. We thought we were just coming up here to shoot. Well, whether or not you expected it or not, they took it to you, and they got you prepared for last Friday. And they did the same thing this week.
Real quick, and then defensively, third quarter, he got 3 shots. Just talk about your discussion about what you were going to do second half to deal with Quinn, and then also with
if Ben could talk about, being a guy that was out there on him a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Some of it was kind of a blur. Like, I don't know what to do here. He's still getting shots. People were coming open underneath the rim. And coming in at halftime, I think it was York and Vince and a couple other ones, maybe Bray, and we got to run at him. It was working. We have to run at him. So, like I've said many times before, we trust these guys, and that's what we did. We just kept somebody up and ran at him, and what did he end up, 14 the second half? With a little bit of length.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just a single effort. I mean, all these guys out here, they were communicating, jumping out on the ball screens and on the back screens. They were making sure that I had a chance to get over the screen and get back to him. And then just knowing that they were behind me, if I needed help, that I was good. Yeah. Spencer yelled at me a couple times. He was like, just chase after him. I was like, I'm trying, but you only go for so long. I think the one possession we played for like 40 straight seconds, I switched off, and I think Braylon took him for a little bit. But, yep, so it's tiring, but we got it done.
You've talked about the team, this being a goal for them since the beginning of the season. And throughout this tournament, you've kind of talked about how that, not that it surprised you, but that it was definitely a lofty goal. Was there any point in time specifically in the season that for you began to think like this is something that could happen?
Yeah, I don't know what game it was or who we played. And you look at some teams on the schedule that you can judge. You look at it like, okay, we're really gonna get a good gauge as to how good we are. I forget who we were playing, but we handled them pretty good. It wasn't the last game of the season, but it's around 16th or 17th game. I don't know who it was, but afterwards I was like, we're pretty good. You're gonna have to be pretty good offensively to beat us, and then there's no guarantees because we're pretty good offensively. I'll let some of these guys kind of answer that too, if they have anything to say.
I mean, we talked about it in the beginning room in a second grade classroom, and we set goals for ourselves. Our first one was 12-0 in the league. Second one was 22-0 in the regular season, and obviously the last one was go 29-0 and be a state champ. So I think, putting that in stone in the first practice and getting that in our minds that, hey, like, we can do this, I think that really just set a tone for the whole season.
For any of the four guys sitting down now, there's 11 of you, and like Coach mentioned, you can't all play, but can you just talk about the contribution from the guys standing behind you that weren't always on the court on game day, but what they meant to the team?
Yeah, it's been huge for us all year. The guys behind us have been playing great defense for us in practice, and they work so much harder than you would ever imagine. It's great from them.
Yeah, these guys, I mean, they might obviously don't get to play much, but after practice, they're in there cracking jokes with us, and it's just a team effort all the way around, and I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else but these guys.
Yeah, and could Landon or Caleb or Micah also come forward and talk about what it's like to be a part of this team?
It's pretty special. We just come together and then we play together, and then we just have fun off the court too. Most nights we're hanging out together at his house in the barn, watching basketball, watching football, whatever. I mean, gambling.
With fake money, of course. They're playing Monopoly. Yeah, they're playing Monopoly.
Yeah, being part of this team is something really special that not many people really get to do. You see so many teams where maybe their chemistry just isn't quite like ours. I mean, like Coach said, we don't hang out every single day off the court, but we do quite a bit, and we're all friends here. I mean, like, I don't get to play a ton, but I don't even really care because just watching these guys just makes me so happy. Just watching Dom get a dunk or Vince cross a guy up. I mean, we're just all family, really, so.
Coach, one thing, I think is worth noting, we've come in here, after every single one of these games for these pressers, and you guys are the first team that has brought up every single senior right to the table. And to me, that's just awesome. I think it speaks volumes of just the culture that you guys have down there at Russia. So my question to you is man, what's the one thing you're going to miss most about these guys?
Just, I don't know. They're all different personalities. We were all together last night at Coach Francis's house watching March Madness games, and they're cracking on each other, telling jokes, and this is really the first team that I've ever had that I could probably say whatever I wanted to them, and they weren't. It was like, okay, that's just Spencer, No, they're all special. Every single one of them has special traits. They come into practice every single day, and number 11 is working just as hard as number 1. To see them every day in practice, cracking on each other, but knowing when to get after it. They just, in all the bus trips to these scrimmages, our scrimmage schedule, we like to travel an hour and a half and go get pizza afterwards, and they, just the special bond between them. And, these guys have accomplished so much athletically, so much in their 4 years. But the biggest thing is how good of human beings they've become and how humble they've stayed. They're not flashy. They don't do this or they don't do that on the floor. They just play the game the right way. And these guys are just the epitome of team basketball. And BTA. Why'd you do that to me?
Hey, Coach, first off, congratulations. Man, this is just such a great group of winning kids here in multiple sports. But can you talk about, most of us that think that we know what we're talking about, knew you had 3 guys with a lot of experience back. But Dom, if I'm not mistaken, only played maybe less than a minute last year down here against Richmond Heights. Can you talk, because I thought they had no answer for him. I thought he was huge for you today. Talk about the evolution of him over the last 365 days.
I told him after the game, I said, I've been on your tail since day one. It's over. And he used a couple choice words at me. I said, it's over. That's it. And he's, when you were a freshman, what were you, like 5'11"? Yeah. 5'10"? He goes from 5'10" to 6'6" in like 2.5 years, and we're sitting there with this big, gigantic, athletic kid. And he took everything that we threw at him. The first couple weeks of the season were pretty trying, weren't they? Okay? And we tried to push him and then backed off a little bit and then pushed him some more, and he responded each and every time. And, we just flat out told him, you get every rebound you can. You stay on the block, get every rebound you can, and you flat out leave your man and go block shots. And, to fill that role that Felix left, which is his first cousin from last year, we said right away, Dominic is not Felix, but he can be just as dominating. And boy, oh boy, he took every punch we threw at him and just kept grinding and grinding and grinding. And I know he didn't like it every single night out, but he just took it and really made himself into a very fine high school basketball player. And he put the work in last summer. He was in the gym all the time, knowing that this was it, right? And I actually told him there in the end, I said, if you get the chance, just throw it down as hard as you can. Hang on the rim. I don't care. Get a technical if you want. This is your moment. But no, he did a fantastic job all year, and he handled everything we threw at him, and he just kept working and working, and he was as big, if not anybody, on this team.
He spent somebody downstairs before I came up asked me because, they announced this is the something anniversary of the Shelby County League. How many
100 years.
Huh?
100 years.
100 years for the league. Every time Stan Evans says it, it's different. But and your 1,000th win, and this person said, is this the best team in the history of the Shelby County League? So before either Gilbert and I write about it, I thought I'll put this on you and let you talk about that.
I'm going to
Yes.
lose that up.
Yeah.
Say yes.
Yeah. Given what you've done the last 2 years and culminating with this year, this person said, is this the best team ever in that league?
Coach Francis won't allow me to say anything other than yes.
He's a math teacher, though.
Yeah. I'll leave that. We believe, and these guys probably believe, that they are. There's been a lot of really good teams. The Shelby County year in and year out is very, very difficult to win. And like I said, there's been a lot of really good teams, a lot of really good players. We can believe that, and then we'll just allow everybody else to debate it.
Braylon, you said last week you were ready to be done with this. And you are done. How do you feel about that? But also, what are you going to miss?
Just being with these guys. We've been together for the last, I don't know how many years, 10, 11, I think. Last 2 years, been playing with some upperclassmen, but to come back into the senior year, play with all these guys again, and to get it done with them just feels great. It's over obviously now, so we can move on, but I'm going to miss it.
He was crying at the end of the game, by the way, just so you know. It wasn't too sad.
One thing he told me in December, because he asked me, he's like, oh, man, this is a long season. I was like, dude, it's only Christmas. We got a long ways to go here. And he's like, I know. But, that's what these guys, that's where they come together. And I knew all year long they were just going to keep fighting. And he wasn't any different than the rest of them. Even though he's looking forward to baseball, he just kept fighting. And they all had a common goal, and here we are.
I'm sure he is.
Give him something, Dom.
State champs is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it was hard a lot of days, but we got the job done to the end, so I got to be grateful. And, all the coaches helped me. All my teammates, my friends. I won't be able to call them teammates after this day, but I'm going to still hang out with them every single day at school, every day at recess, and we're just all friends, so.
We don't take recess.
We do take recess.
No, we don't.
These guys don't do anything at school.
Coach Spencer, and hi. So this goes to everyone. You mentioned that earlier this week it wasn't just for the team, it wasn't just for the community, but it's for, Zane Shappy, Aiden Quinter, Flippo, the list goes on, to be able to bring home a state championship and to, kind of honor kind of like the memory of those who weren't able to compete in a state title game. What does that mean to you guys?
Yeah, I can't name all their names, but, 2 years ago, Zane Chappie, wears his heart on his sleeve. Hayden Quinter played 4 years of varsity basketball, and Braden Monin and Feeling. And I can't name everybody, but the list goes on and on. And I know it's cliche, but it really is. That's what it's really for. Not everybody gets this opportunity. And, it's not fair to those other guys that this collection of guys all came into school together, right? Not everybody gets that opportunity. So, even like my dad, I know one thing I'm tired of is hearing my dad talk about his state title and my son talk about his in baseball. And they look at me and go, where's yours at? Well, that's over. That stuff's over. But, anybody that's ever put it on, I know there's going to be one gigantic party in Russia and tonight, and every darn one of them people are going to feel like they're a state champ as well. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, and now we only have one state championship to determine. Division One. Division One, Olentangy Orange getting set to take on Reynoldsburg. We've been here all day today, all day yesterday. We've gotten through 6 division championships. We got one more to go, and it's the one. Since I got here, Coach George Howard, that's all he's been talking about is this matchup. Now, mainly because he's calling it. He's going to be on the OHSAA radio network shortly. But there's been a lot of buzz about this matchup, and it's only fitting that it's the main event, the grand finale, the one to finish it all off here tonight, George.
Hey, like I started at the beginning of the year. You know, you had 2 teams that everybody picked as one of the top teams in the state. They both kept winning. Even though Orange has 2 losses, it did not come from teams in Ohio. Reynoldsburg has 1 loss. It came from a team in Columbus. Everybody wanted to see this. So here it is.
There it is. No, you're right. I mean,
Oh, okay. I hear something in here. I didn't know
I
if
heard
you
something
could
too. That's all. But no, Justin Kidder and Coach George Howard with you here. It's our pregame coverage again. We'll be sending it down courtside coming up here in about 15, 20 minutes to the OHSAA Radio Network and Spectrum News 1. Of course, TJ Petros with NEO Spotlight. He's going to join us coming up here shortly. Jim Scobie's going to fill in for you shortly too once you head back down to call the game. But again, this is the highly anticipated matchup. We talked about the path for them to get here. The path that they took to get here has led them here for the first time. This is both teams' first ever appearance in the state final.
Yes, it is, and it's going to be exciting. They're both are very, very good teams. They both have. Orange was knocking on the door last year, and they lost in the regionals. As a matter of fact, they beat Reynoldsburg in the regional final last year, or was it the district final? District final, and Reynoldsburg lost at OU. Orange lost at OU in the regional. So they're here now. This is the game everybody wanted to see. I'm excited. I'm a little biased, just a little bit. Let TJ tell it, but I'll go ahead and tell you. I have a son that coaches with Reynoldsburg, so I am a little biased. But tonight, calling the game, I'll have to be even keel. But I'm excited about this game. This is what everybody wanted to see. I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it. But before I go, I want to say, partner, it was good hanging out with you again. We killed it like we always do. We've been here for 2 long days, 7 games. I don't know what more to ask for except for let's close this out with a great game.
I mean, you think about this weekend, you think about the great games, the great crowds, Aaron Kraft and so many cool people here in attendance being inducted into the Circle of Champions, of course. We got to hang out with Mr. Basketball yesterday, of course, which was pretty neat. So it's been a star-studded weekend on top of it all. Great games, great crowd, great atmosphere, great basketball, great commentary. Just a fun weekend, no doubt about it. Now, this isn't the last you're going to hear of George because we're going to send you guys to the OHSAA Radio Network shortly. You're going to be on the call for the main event coming up here in a bit.
Yes, I'm excited about it, and I've been looking forward to this, and who would have thought out of all the games that they could have given me, that they gave me this game to do tonight.
You wanted to call like Rushi or Marion Local. That's what I heard. That's what
I really didn't know if I wanted this game. I wanted to be a fan, but it's okay. I'm excited to do it. I couldn't ask for nothing better to do this game that It's going to be an exciting game for the fans. And what a way to close it out. What a way to open it up yesterday morning, and then a way to close it out tonight. You couldn't ask for nothing better. It's been a great high school basketball season. I've enjoyed it, and here we are at the end.
Absolutely. You got the band in the background. The fans are filing in. We got a big one. Olentangy Orange, Reynoldsburg, Division I state championship matchup coming up around the corner. TJ Petros from NEO Spotlight, Jim Scobie, they're going to pop in when we come back. We're going to recap what we just witnessed with Russia finally finishing their story, winning a state championship. We'll recap that Division VI matchup, and then, of course, we'll turn our attention right here to this Division I showdown. So that's all coming up next. More pregame coverage right here on the OHSAA Radio Network and Spectrum News 1.
Welcome to the OHSAA.
Every day we work to
take the regulations on these pages
and to apply them to real-life situations.
To serve our member schools
and our officials,
and to run the best state tournaments in the country.
It's our mission
to serve our member schools
and enrich interscholastic opportunities for students.
Welcome.
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 Welcome to the OHSAA.
Oh, hey, we're back, just like that. We welcome you back again. It's our OHSAA State Finals preview. Division I, we've crowned 6 state champions. One more to go. Division I, Olentangy Orange, Reynoldsburg getting set to go head-to-head right here at the University of Dayton Arena. George Howard, Coach George Howard, he just popped out. He's going to be on the OHSAA Radio Network on the call for the finale coming up here in just a bit. Justin Kinner and Jim Scobie back with you here again in our pregame coverage, and then of course joining us like he has all weekend long. We appreciate TJ Petros with NEO Spotlight giving us some time as well. Appreciate you helping us set the stage for all these big state finals matchups throughout the weekend. I want to get to Division I coming up in a moment. We've been spending some time there, but we have to reflect on what we just saw. Russia, after running into a buzzsaw the last couple of years, they got to be the buzzsaw, and they took care of business. They got to finish their story, if you will. It was really cool seeing what they did this year. Again, 81-6 over the last 3 years. They've been to the state semifinals the last couple of years. They finally get that win, and they do it and send their seniors out the way that they should have been with championships.
Yeah, and it was phenomenal watching them at the post-game presser, bringing all 11 seniors up on the stage. And, you know, I thought that just spoke volumes of the climate and the culture of Russia basketball. And the game went about as, you know, we would expect. You know, I thought Quinn Kwasniak, who the world got to see today on the biggest stage, I thought he could shoot them, you know, into 3 quarters, but I thought Russia just had too much size. I mean, they're so strong and smart and tough. Like, that is, not only are they the Division VII state champion, I genuinely think that team would make the Final Four in about 4 of the 7 divisions. I mean, I think there is about as complete of a team as you'll find in Ohio.
From rebounding to shooting to taking care of the basketball to defending. I mean, Jim, you saw Russia. That's a heck of a basketball team, and it's not a surprise that they hoisted up that Division VII state title.
No question, and it was the experience of this team. You know, like you mentioned, you know, 11 seniors, but man, they play defense, and that's we talked about how they would. You know, kind of pin their hat on that. They have actually showed people that want to create a basketball team with their shell defense. I mentioned that, you know, their coach taught them, these kids, when they're in 3rd grade, and they still do it. And somebody asked him, do they like doing this? And they said, sometimes no, but he said, we practice it every single day. And you could see it. The teamwork and the hustle, they're a complete basketball team.
And we're talking about a school that has less than 40 boys in their graduating class. and just the success that this team has had, not only in basketball, but then they turn around and they go right into baseball and they go to the state tournament. Then half of those guys turn around and they go into golf and do the same thing again. So it's unbelievable what that small community of Russia has been able to do, not only in basketball, but just across several sports here in Ohio.
You guys mentioned their defense, and for them to win that state title today, we knew they had to be on their A-game defensively, going up against Ohio's all-time leading scorer, and Quinn Quizniak again. They held him to 38 points. That's a point over his average. I was talking about this with Michael Roth a little bit ago. I had heard of him. I was familiar with him coming in, but never really heard of him. I don't think he's got the same kind of coverage as some of the other big players that have come through the state of Ohio. And he was kind of sharing with me, well, that team never really plays in a lot of big spotlight games either. They don't play like a national schedule, so he's not been playing on big stages. Man, we've missed out because we saw what he could do on the big stage. It's not just that he hits shots, it's the shots that he took, the shots that he was confident enough to take, the shots that he's capable of making. That's an unbelievable talent right there, and I'm glad that we got a chance to see him play. You've seen him plenty. I'm glad I got a chance to see him play today.
Yeah, it's pretty cool seeing Ohio's all-time leading scorer on Ohio's biggest stage, which is the state championship. I've been fortunate enough to know Quinn, know his dad, know his grandpa. Cool. And man, the kid's been doing that for 4 years. I kid you not, I went and watched him as a freshman, almost out of a favor for his dad. Because of the relationship that he and I have, and the game I went to, the kid is a freshman, went about 8 of 12 from the three-point line.
As a freshman.
So this isn't like some flash in the pan or one unbelievable season. The kid's been doing it for 4 years. Anybody who's had a chance to see him during this time will tell you the same thing.
He's going to West Point, correct?
He's going to West Point, which is where his father, Babe Kwasniak, went and played as well. Just a awesome basketball family. It's been a wild ride getting to know those guys over the course of the last 7 or 8 years, but it was cool seeing them go out the way that they did. They put up a valiant effort. I thought they had absolutely nothing to be disappointed in after what they did. They just ran into one of the best teams in Ohio.
One of the things that I noticed, guys, was the ability of Quinn. We knew he could score. His stats, prove that he's, the greatest shooter in a long time in Ohio. But if you notice his floor game, he sees everybody. He's going to make some, college team really good. Not just shooting the ball all the time, but the ability to
his vision
to drop dimes and to get the ball all over the place. He is truly way better than I thought. And it's his total game that really impressed me.
Yeah, his floor game is something that has really progressed and has gotten better over the course of the last 4 years. I think he is an extremely quick processor, especially when he's able to come off of actions. It's like a hot potato. He gets it, he's either shooting it, he's putting it on the ground. Not only is he making that primary read, but he's able to see the floor, hit that secondary guy, does a really good job of just manipulating the defense. Really crafty kid too, man. Some of those finishes in the first quarter, high scoops,
scoop shot,
high off the glass.
He's got it all.
That takes and requires a ton of touch and a ton of skill. You're looking at a kid who works as hard at it as probably anybody in the state of Ohio. I don't think you don't get that good of a shooter without just putting in just an insane amount of reps. So.
Absolutely. Justin Kinner, Jim Scobie, TJ Petros with you here. It's our final state championship matchup here tonight, here this weekend of the 2024-25 season, of course, Division I. That's where we turn our attention towards. We talked about Quinn Quizniak, one of the best players in the state of Ohio. We've seen a lot of great players play over the last couple of days here in the state of Ohio. But you don't get to this point if you are obviously Olentangy Orange or Reynoldsburg without really good players themselves. This matchup is significant for a lot of reasons. Obviously, two teams who have never been to the state final, and to have both of them meet in the state final and go head-to-head here tonight, there's going to be a large crowd on hand. We're seeing them file in now. Hear the band in the background. The atmosphere is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about more of the details of this matchup. Obviously, the players, some star players to keep an eye and ear out for tonight.
I think for a Division I state championship, you can't ask for any more than what we got right now. I believe that these are the two best teams in the state, regardless of division. They have history dating back to last year. So the way that the Ohio tournament goes, as many people know, based on your seeding or your rank, you get to pick a line on the bracket. Well, last year, Reynoldsburg jumped into Olentangy Orange's district. You know, the Olentangy Orange guys didn't take that lightly, you know, and they thought it was a little disrespectful, you know, that, hey, why do you guys want to come play us? You know, they met up in the district final. Olentangy Orange beat them, you know, in front of a sold-out crowd. It was a statement win. So these teams have some history. I think this Reynoldsburg team has grown significantly from a year ago. They've had their back against the wall in practically every single game in the tournament so far. They've trailed in every single game. They were down 15 in the second quarter to Hilliard-Bradley. They were down 6 in overtime to Olentangy Liberty. They were down 6 with a minute and a half to go to Lakota West just last weekend. So this is a team that has just somehow, some way, has found ways to win close games, and that's not something we saw from them a year ago. So I think this is a different Reynoldsburg team, different Olentangy Orange team, and they're loaded. I mean, you look at Reynoldsburg, on paper, is probably the most talented team in Ohio. They have 4 Division I commits. Seniors, Jordan Fisher and Toby Wakalo, both committed to MAC schools. Then you have 2 juniors with Jordan Bowens and Xavier McKinney, who are also committed to MAC schools. 3 of those guys going to OU, 1 of them going to Toledo. They have another point guard, Damon Griffin, who's a scholarship basketball player. He's a senior as well. They don't go into the bench very deep. You know, they lost Makai Roddy, who was a stud freshman. I think a lot of people are aware of that situation and what transpired there. We're not going to go into too many details about that. And then you look at Olentangy Orange, who has the coach's pick for Mr. Basketball and Devin Brown, and they have just a phenomenal supporting cast around him that's just comprised of multiple sport guys. Look at junior Levi Davis, one of the top football prospects in Ohio. He's a junior, already committed to OU for football. You look at a guy named Keegan Nupp, who has just been the heart and soul of this team the last 2 years. He's going to Eastern Michigan for baseball. You got Taryn Thomas, who is committed Division II for football. He comes off the bench, and he was a huge spark in their win over St. Ignatius just last week. So this is a team of guys that know exactly what they are, who they are. They know who the best guy on the floor is in Devin Brown. They all play their roles, and they have one of the most just passionate, fiery head coaches that you'll see in Anthony Kalo. And I think this team adopts his personality, and they play with that same competitive spirit that they see their coach have on the sidelines.
Yeah, I would agree that these are the 2 best teams in the state. The thing I notice about Olentangy Orange is their ability to play any kind of basketball. And that's so important in a game like a state tournament final. This is a team that I think, you know, they're well coached. They have an attitude about, you mentioned the attitude that they have as far as against each other. You know, this is a talk of the town in Columbus. And this game is bigger than any of that. And I think this is something that Columbus really needed. And I just really think it's interesting because, you know, both teams are really strong. Olentangy, the pride of Delaware County, and, you know, of course, Franklin County being represented today, too. This is a great game for, you know, can these guys really play at the next level? They're always looking at that. And I think in this game, you're going to see some guys, especially Devin Brown. He's special.
I mean, we're looking at 2 teams here that have a combined 3 losses, right? Olentangy Orange has not lost to a team in Ohio all season long. Reynoldsburg only has 1 loss, and that was to Columbus DeSales. So 3 combined losses between 2 teams that played 2 of the toughest schedules in the entire state. I mean, that speaks volumes just to how talented these guys are, how prepared they've been, how disciplined they've been. I mean, we should get a phenomenal game here, guys.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for. Again, the Division I OHSAA boys basketball state final coming up. Olentangy Orange and Reynoldsburg about to tip off coming up here shortly. And, you know, when it tips off and when that game ends, the season is over, which is pretty wild. There's been so much talk about this state tournament just because it's the inaugural 7-division state final. You know, talking about Tim Street and so many others. there's no guarantees it'll be the same next year or if it might be different next year. Everything's on the table. 7 divisions is what it's staying, obviously. What were your initial thoughts coming into this as far as how you thought it was going to look and feel? And now that we're wrapping it up, did it match what you thought? I mean, has this been a successful weekend? I mean, it's been a heck of a week. When you think of the crowds, you think of the quality of the games, you think of the star power and the finale that we have here, another big crowd. The OHSAA, I think, has to feel pretty good about, despite all the criticisms and the question marks and the doubts about everything, feel like very successful weekend.
Yeah, I think if you go online, particularly on Twitter, you see a lot of complaints about the 7 divisions and the tournament. I think we got off to a bit of a rocky start in the districts. And, I mean, some of the complaints, I think rightfully so, were justified. But once we've gotten, I think, to district finals in the regional tournament and the state tournament, we've gotten some phenomenal games and some phenomenal crowds, some big-time environments. I think the only gripe is that we lose out on that Final Four experience.
Agreed.
I thought that was the one thing that Ohio had and that Ohio did that really kind of separated us from other states.
People loved it.
Was that Final Four weekend.
Yeah.
So it really sucks losing that. But with all things considered, and this being the first year of the 7 divisions, I think it has gone as well as the OHSAA could have envisioned it being. I'm assuming there'll be some tweaks next year. I'd like to see us get rid of districts. I think it's insane that you have some teams that lost a tournament game, just one tournament game. That's all they played. They played one game, lost it, and got the whole district runner-up trophies for losing a game. Your team starting off in the district finals, to me, is insane. Let's just get away from districts and just go straight to regions and do it that way. I mean, there are some things that I thought just were insane. But, I mean, all things considered, it's been a good tournament. We've gotten great games. I think, 5 of the 6 games so far this weekend have delivered, and I think we should go 6 out of 7 here after this next one. So I think it's been a great weekend. We're about 8 minutes away from tip, so should be blast.
I feel like Syracuse is here with the orange.
A lot of orange.
A lot of orange, man. It's going to be a great game.
Absolutely, and the thing that's crazy, too, is we've seen 2 teams win their first state championship in school history. That's going to happen here tonight. Olentangy Orange, Reynoldsburg, OHSAA, boys basketball Division I state championship. TJ Petros. TJ, send this out. What's your gut telling you? Prediction to close this one out.
I've been rolling with Olentangy Orange all year, but this Reynoldsburg team has stirred up some doubt in my heart, man. Just the way that they've won these games down the stretch of these tournament games, it leads me to believe that no lead is going to be safe today. Regardless if you're Olentangy Orange, you're Reynoldsburg, you go up 8-10 at any point in this game, I don't think you're going to be comfortable. Just because I think both teams have shown that they can fight with their backs against the wall, they can fight when they're down, and they're not going to wither away. So I think this is a game that will likely come down to the final possession. It would not shock me. We're looking at, like I said, the 2 best teams in Ohio, regardless of division.
Jim Scobie, what you got? What's your prediction?
Well,
How's this one end up?
Protect and rebound. I think that's going to be really important. I really feel the same way. I think it's going to maybe be a 2-point, 4-point game. I like.
As dangerous of a team when that pace and that tempo picks up as any team that I've seen in the last few years. If this game gets going up and down and these guys are pressing and getting out and there's big dunks, the crowd team can come at you and then come at you really, really fast. I think Orange has a chance to really slow things down, control the pace and tempo of this game, force Reynoldsburg into tough outside shots. They do that, they win. If Reynoldsburg's making shots or they can find a way to get out in transition, I think you could say the opposite. So this is going to really, to me, be dictated by the pace of the game, who sets the tempo, who controls the glass, and who's making shots from the perimeter.
Watch Devin Brown. He's a player.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much. A lot of thank yous have to go out to the OHSAA for having us bring you this coverage, for Kevin Fowler, TKDS Sports, producing and everything behind the scenes, for TJ Petros for giving his time throughout the weekend. I know he'd like to be down there kind of taking to the atmosphere, sacrificing some time coming up. Thank you. Michael Roth, Kurt Stubbs. I know Jeff Gilbert popped up here and gave us a preview for Division 6 and 7. George Howard. I know he's down on the radio call right now, obviously, Jim Scobie, and I know I probably forgot some people out there, but thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That wraps it up for us. Division I State Championship coming up next. Olentangy Orange, Reynoldsburg, the tip-off around the corner. Tune in to the OHSAA Radio Network, or, of